I'd like to call to order the Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022 at 7:02 PM. The first agenda item was a public hearing that was continued for Adam Martin, and they submitted a withdrawal. They're going to withdraw their application. So I don't know if the board wants to vote to accept it, but they did withdraw. They sent it in to Jen about 2 weeks ago.
I would like to make a motion to accept their request for withdrawal
Second.
Okay, we have
without prejudice.
we have a motion by Mr.
Yeah, me.
Fitzpatrick, seconded by Mr. Bombara. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it is on Zoom, so we'll do a roll call as well. Hi, Dan Heaney.
Hi, John Mombara.
Hi, Ron Forget.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Hi, Jim Power.
Okay. Thank you, guys. So we can't start the other public hearing till 7:15, so we do have
Minutes.
a little bit of work we can do. I think everybody got in their packet a copy of the new code of conduct.
Yeah,
So if you have one and you want to,
I read it and signed it already.
yeah, you want to, I can put it in this folder and then Jen will have it to you. Yep. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome, sir.
And they also sent me a new contact information for all the members. So if everybody could fill that out, I'd appreciate it. Ron, did you have one of these in your packet?
Looking for, I don't think so. Mine was in the folder that was on the desk.
Yeah, it's in the blue folder right there.
You want this, Dan?
Just the signature page, the last one.
What's the date?
The third, 8-3. Who suggested that?
Did you find that? Ron, did you get one of these in your packet?
What am I looking for? The memorandum?
It's the code of conduct, yes. On the last page, you just have to sign it that you read it.
It was in the blue folder.
Sign the last sheet.
Yep.
Yeah. Looking for Dan.
I don't have to fill one out, they didn't give me one.
This one? Oh, I'll sign it, yeah. Yeah, so I don't need this one. Thank you. You want it?
Yeah.
Is that an extra one, Ken? Is that an extra one?
Thanks. Actually, I just need the last page.
They didn't give me one. They didn't give me one.
Just got a couple minutes, and we'll get going. Taking a couple days off.
Matt talked to the window company and they're supposed to come in tomorrow to clean up all that stuff.
Do their own cleanup. We're going to talk about this tonight, we don't want to.
No, we can,
What's
as long as we
that?
have time.
North Brown? Yeah, we should talk about it.
Yeah, okay, so I haven't read any of this yet, so.
No, but that's all right. It just, we'll get an update from Ken. He'll be able to fill us in. This.
So you got Stanley?
Yeah, just so I can't head south, right? Okay, I see.
7:15 right
I
now.
can't see it from
Yeah,
here.
you got 5 seconds.
Okay.
Ready, set, go.
Go for it.
All right, the second agenda item tonight is a public hearing for New Caswell Residence LLC, case number 2022-05, 17 Caswell Court. And the date of the application is July 12th, 2022. This hearing was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette and posted in the Town Hall, and it reads as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:15 PM on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, in the Douglas Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass., to hear the following application. New Caswell Residence LLC is requesting a variance pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10, and Section 9.2 of the Douglas bylaws for relief of Section 4.3.7 of the Douglas zoning bylaws to build a home in a VR zoning district. The property is located at 17 Caswell Court, map 142, parcel 40.1. Any persons interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the application is available for review during regular business hours in the Douglas Community Development Department, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Hearing tonight's case of Mr. Bombara, Mr. Forget, Mr. Fitzpatrick, Mr. Palmer, and myself. And the applicant or their representative is here. Please join us.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, the floor is yours. Want to give us an explanation of what you're trying to do?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. Thank you for hearing me. Yeah, I'm ready to build a house on the lot, and I really wanted to just get relief of 20 feet into that 200-foot setback to make basically the house come out of the tree line a little bit better. It'll conserve some trees. It'll aesthetically look better on the lot. There's also a historic stone wall in the back that I don't really want to see the future owners, take that apart or damage it or whatever, so it'll bring it a little bit away from that. And then if, the eventuality that they care to have solar array on the roof, it puts it in a little bit better spot away from the tree line.
Okay. All right, we have the application and they submitted a plot plan stamped by an engineer. So any board members have any questions on the application?
Mr. Chairman, this has come before us before, but a different venue because I don't remember the exact date, but anyway.
December 9th,
Oh,
2020 is attached minutes from that.
Yeah, it's right in here, John.
Fantastic.
It's right here.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yep.
We had questions on where he was locating the house. If I remember correctly, where the document so it says over here, lot number 2.
Yeah, it was off to the right.
Yeah.
Are there any other board members that have any questions on the application?
Refreshing.
Yep, I understand.
Just looking at this as the comments on the application, under D, about placing the home away from the tree line, preserve the wall and position for solar. So the wall, it appears to be right on the property lines, and there's no danger of getting too close to that, even if it was put into the building envelope. He's still away from the tree line to stay within that building envelope that was made, and the south-facing is actually towards all the open part of the lot where all the houses are. There's a north arrow right to the right of the plot plan.
What do you feel, Ken? Any comments?
I just look at it from the fact that, we had the 200-foot setback, and now we're going into the 200-foot setback. It seems to be a big enough lot that they could achieve what they needed to achieve inside the setback.
It looks like, it appears to be enough room in there
Yeah.
to do it. as you go
I don't
to,
feel
as you
it.
go to the left, it gets wider. on that.
Is this lot serviced by water and sewer?
Yes.
It is.
There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, is there anybody else have any questions? Is there anybody in the room that has any comments on this application?
Came along.
Yeah. Okay.
If there's nothing else for you to add, because once we close it, you won't be able to speak on it.
Only that,
That's
you
the
know,
only reason.
I see where the representation of the tree line is, but that back corner of the house is pretty much into it. So that is a concern of mine. I'll be having to take down a bunch more trees than I would with that 20-foot move, so I'll just add that to it.
So are you saying this plan,
Well, no, I'm saying the tree line, I think he's showing where the base of the trees and the trunks of the tree are, and not the canopy of the trees. That's all I'm adding to it.
so if the house was slid to the left a little bit, you may be able to fit it in there without having to deal with the tree issue,
No, it's the
the way it
same,
looks on paper anyhow.
yeah, it's the same tree canopy. I guess I could have brought some photos, but I didn't think to do that.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? Ron?
Sounds like a good
Mike?
plan.
No, just looking at it doesn't meet typical guidelines for topography issues or irregular lot shapes. He created the lot, so it's something that was planned. It went through the planning board because it's already come before us for the first option that would have been on the right-hand side, as John stated, where Lot 2 was. And this was a good solution to the problem that he had before. But now we're back here again, trying to get a variance on something that you went through the process to get planning board approval, meeting their guidelines. So there's nothing that jumps out that tells me that it's a hardship or a regular problem.
Jim, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
All right.
Pretty straightforward.
The applicant, do you have anything else before we close the
No,
public
sir.
hearing? Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bombara,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Fitzpatrick to close the public hearing. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye, Dan Heaney.
Bavara, aye.
Ron Forget, aye.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Public hearing is closed. Would the board like to move forward with a decision tonight?
I would have no issue with it myself.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance, Castle Court, number 2022-05, 17 Castle Court.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bombara to approve the application as submitted. We have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Palmer. Any further discussion? Okay. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So your application is granted, you got 4 out of 5.
Okay,
And
thank you.
we'll get a decision drafted and get it to you as soon as we possibly can.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. All right, I guess we got 5 minutes to wait till the next one.
You want to do minutes, or you want to, can we do that application modification? That's a quick thing.
Yep, we can do that.
Yeah, there's a memo. You'll see a memo page.
Yeah, I see that. That's a good idea.
You have that, Ronnie?
Shocking.
The memo page. Right there on, yeah.
Yeah, it's to clarify number 4.
Yeah.
It's brought up by a discussion at one of the previous meetings to have some kind of a
Yeah, everybody
certified
comes in
plot.
without,
And,
you know, so.
The only thing I would suggest that we add to that is, if we're going to change it to that, is to also add the language showing existing proposed. Existing
Yeah,
conditions.
Existing and proposed.
What are you
Correct.
doing on this one? Yeah, I got it, but I
Just remember, they're adding the number 4 to
Because we're constantly looking for certified plot plans.
certified plot plans.
So we just make it as part of the requirement on the application. It gets a little confusing for the applicants, as Mr.
I'll have to agree with Mike.
Dermott could attest to, about the certified plot plan. It's not on the application, that's what we're talking about, so I just brought you into it.
We could add that, that's what we're gonna have added
Yeah.
on it.
I'll agree.
I was looking for your support.
He got it, he gave it to you. No, he got it.
He only got it yesterday.
So, yeah.
This is right now, plot plans that come in,
Yeah.
they're using septic plans,
Septic plans, hand sketches, all kinds of crazy.
hand sketches and all that.
This will make it simple.
Because if they want a variance on something, they need to have a certified plot plan showing what they want for the variance on it, where it is, what it was, and what it will be.
To just make it easier for us and for the applicant, so
Yeah, I
they
think
can come
actually,
prepared.
before you got on the board, Ron, we had several of them that were hand-drawn, and come to find out, they wrote, they're putting on a 12 by 12 addition, it's gonna be 12 feet from the lot line, and come to find out, it's 4 feet from the lot line.
Yeah.
So we'll get a plot plan from a professional.
Franklin Street was actually a bank survey, tape saver. I think
Yeah,
they used.
yeah, and the one we had on
10
Franklin
feet
Street, it
further
was
than
on the
that.
neighbor's land, if we had granted it. So,
So I'll have this redrafted for the next meeting.
okay, with the changes,
The change of adding existing and proposed.
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, should we take a vote on that?
Make a motion to, well, do we want, just,
All right, why don't we do it, why don't we let him make the changes?
let him make the change
Next
and
month
then
we'll
bring
do
it
that.
back, so that way it's cleaner, if you don't mind.
Yep, that works for me.
Got 2 or 3 minutes.
We just gotta wait a couple minutes. Can't stop before it was advertised.
Take a nap, Ron. Take a nap.
This warm weather's bringing a good crowd down to the slides.
Like that, huh?
Yeah. But I went by there one morning, and it was about 10 after 7. They were already lined up.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Get that first picnic table. There was a few buses that went by today.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 6 of them in a row.
Yeah.
that's good.
I was actually by Manchok Run.
That's good.
One more minute.
Okay, I can't see the clock from here.
Yeah, one more.
I had enough time seeing it straight on, never mind. Never mind at an angle.
Yeah.
Two of them.
We're good. We're good, Mike?
Yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Great. The next agenda item is a public hearing for Dermot Collins, case number 2022-06, 12 Cottage Colony. The date of the application is July 13th, 2022. This case was advertised in the Telegram and Gazette and also posted in the Town Hall. And it reads as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7:30 on Wednesday, August 3rd, 2022, in the Douglas Municipal Center, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass., to hear the following application. Dermot Collins requests a variance pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10, and Section 9.2 of the Douglas bylaws for side yard relief and backyard relief of dimensional regulations, Appendix B, to build a shed in an RA zone district. The property is located at 12 Cottage Colony, map 159, parcel 50. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the application is available for review during regular business hours in the Douglas Community Development Department, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. We have communication from our staff that all the abutters that are required to be notified have been by certified mail, and she has the green cards for the return receipt. And the public hearing is open. So the applicant and the representative, welcome, you have the floor.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. My name's Ryan Avery. I'm an attorney for Dermot Collins, the applicant, who's near me this evening. First thing, I just want to make sure that the board members have the certified plot plan that I submitted to Ms.
We do.
Kuchar yesterday. Okay. So with that, the desired relief needs to be changed as reflected in the application, and it would be 17.2 feet of relief from what we've listed as the rear. It may be the front, depending on the building inspector and the board's interpretation, and then 22.7 feet of relief on the side yard setback. Regarding the topography, I provided a couple pictures, but essentially this parcel is unique in the sense that the septic system serving Mr. Collins' home, which is on the lot across Cottage Colony, is located on that parcel 50. It's a raised septic system. The level is essentially level with Northwest Main Street. I don't know the height, but if you go down there and take a look at the parcel, you'll see it's probably at least 12 feet high, or gets to a height of at least 12 feet, 15 feet behind the shed with the septic system. It's also, because of the septic system, it's impossible to really move the shed any further to the left or to center it, or else it's going to be on top of the septic manhole and or the pump for the system. So that's the unique nature of the lot in terms of the character of the neighborhood. I provided a number of photographs. You'll see there's probably 8 or 10 different sheds that are similar to this in the neighborhood in the sense that they're right on or up against the lot lines. This isn't an uncommon feature of this neighborhood. It's small lots, homes that take up a good portion of the lots, and sheds both in the front, back, and side yards that abut the property lines. And then the detriment is simply that this is really the only area that Mr. Collins has for some additional storage that he needs. My understanding is that he had come before this board for seeking to install a garage on this parcel. That was not allowed. Really, the only other available free space is behind his home, which abuts the reservoir, and I think that would certainly run into setback issues as well. And it's really just a small backyard for him and his family to enjoy the reservoir. So that's the gist of the application. Like, as I alluded to, there are a number of photographs submitted, and I can answer any questions, or Mr. Collins can answer any questions you may have.
Are there any board members that have questions on this application? Mike?
As you stated, that it came before us before with the proposed garage, that was going to fit on the lot. How come the shed can't? Has anything changed since then? Have you installed the septic system since you applied the last time?
No, the septic system is already there.
Yeah, so you said you could fit the garage, now you can't fit a shed. So I'm a little confused as to why, if the garage was 24 by 24, for argument's sake. How are we able, well, how are we unable to put this shed anywhere else if the garage would have fit?
Did you come before the board for a variance on the garage, or was just
Yeah.
building her? Yeah, I think he was going to need a variance for the garage.
But he showed the garage would fit.
Yeah, I think what Mike's getting at is the rear of that garage was much further back from Cottage Colony than the rear of this shed.
Yeah, I think there was
Even if you
going
put
to be
it right, if you took the garage and put it right on Cottage Colony, you would have a big enough envelope to fit
Correct. Yeah.
the shed in there more comfortably than it is now.
Right, I think there was going to be, the garage was going to have a foundation, and it was a much more intense
Okay, you're
requirement.
missing what I'm saying. If it could physically, regardless if it's a foundation or not, that's even worse than the shed. So if you could put a foundation on that lot, how come the shed can only go here in the corner on blocks? I'm missing something. I'm not following
Parking.
it.
That's what it looks like to me. Have you been up there?
Yeah, I don't need to go up there. I'm looking at a certified plot plan. So was the garage right on the street?
No,
Push back a little bit.
Okay, so if the
I know.
garage was pushed back,
Yeah. Not
how
getting
come,
you-
how come the shed has to be here, regardless of parking? If you showed that you could put a garage before, now you're showing that you can only put the shed here. So if nothing's changed, I'm a little confused as to why you can't move the shed.
the shed isn't, I didn't build the shed, I bought it, they delivered it. It's not, as far as I'm aware, you need to build a permit for anything over 200 square feet.
Can somebody help me with
Yeah.
the explanation here? Because I
Yeah,
don't think
the
you
issue is-
understand what I'm asking.
Can you explain where the garage was going to be located and what the approximate setbacks were going to be, if you recall, for the garage? That's what they're,
Yeah, the garage would have went into the hill, so it would have having to dig, excavate, put a foundation wall in that would hold back the septic system, so the hill doesn't collapse. So it would have been way further back than that.
I think the answer is the applicant's not going to expend the money to build a staircase and foundation, do structural work to erect a shed. I think it's the
If I
simplest
was to
answer.
do that, to put the shed in, I would have been, it would have cost me probably, if I got a permit to do that, at $18,000 to $20,000, just for a retaining wall to put a $6,000 shed in the spot.
So I
The
think,
shed isn't a permanent structure, it's on blocks.
if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Like-
go ahead.
Like you were talking about the existing where it is now, because he's 2.3 feet on one side and 7.8 on the other.
Off the street,
Off the
yeah.
street. So you're asking, not asking, but if the garage could have went further left, why can't the shed go that way and back?
Well, yeah, just the physical position of where he's going to put it on there, and they answered the question, they would have to dig into the hill
Yeah.
and to put the foundation in there if they went back 24 feet. And maybe you answered the question, because I'm looking at this picture, so it shows
Yeah, I mean-
that the land is pretty consistent going across,
Yep.
that you could slide it across, and you could actually maybe even slide it back a little bit. But if it's for parking that you're trying to maintain, you only have 8 feet, so you can't park in front of the shed. So if you're trying to keep the parking to the left of it, that would be the only reason I would see why you
Yeah,
would move that, so.
the garage would have been behind the septic, behind the tanks, so going into the hill.
Yeah.
So I think you would have to put probably a 10 to 12-foot retaining wall in at the back
In order to move it back.
to put a garage in there.
Yeah. Right.
Well, the building Commissioner just pointed out to me, because this particular picture that's right here,
Yeah,
your septic system
Right.
cover is right there.
yeah, that's one tank, but
Yeah.
in this, beside the shed,
Yep.
right up there, that's where the pump tank is. I've got 2 H20 tanks, one's baffled. I think there's 2 manholes for the first tank, and then that overflows into that, and then it goes to the pump tank in the back.
Goes to the hill.
Yeah, and then it goes up the hill.
So if that garage had been approved, you would have driven over this to get into the garage?
Yeah, but the tanks are H20 tanks, so you can drive on top.
Okay. I mean, looks like there's plenty of room to slide it to the left.
Yeah.
But the pump tank is there.
Yeah.
There's a manhole cover for that.
Well, the manhole covers, I mean, the pump.
So, no, what he just said, is so look closer, see the one that you
It's
can
in the
see
back.
in this picture, right behind it, if you look closely,
between
you can
truck
see the
and-
secondary,
Yeah.
Right. The
you can
truck
see
and-
the, and the pump chamber.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard, it's hard, yeah. No, you've seen it, but what I was pointing out, it's hard to
Yeah.
see it, but if you look
Yeah.
closely, you can see the second. That's the pump chamber.
Yep. It's not like he's going to be taking it all up.
The way it's set up there, I can get 2 trucks in, side by side. So if I brought it back a couple of feet, I'd lose a parking spot.
I've been here 16 years, and I've never seen anybody get a variance for 2 feet. I don't know if it's the time to stop that. I don't know.
The, just a technicality, but just to make sure, typically we have the dimensions in the advertisement. The, forget your name, I'm sorry, but his attorney had said that they want to amend the application and change the dimensioning requirements. On the bottom of this, even though we didn't advertise it in the paper showing the dimensions, it states that you can come by the community development to review the application. So do we have to do anything before we go too far into this, as far as if they are amending their dimensional request?
You're amending it from this, what was submitted?
Yeah. The application states that he wants to be sidelined, he wants to be 6 feet off the property line. He's showing 2.3 on the plan, and it shows off the front, well, it must be the rear. So Northwest Main Street's the frontage for this lot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So off his rear lot, he's showing he wants to be 12 feet. He applied for 12 feet, but he's showing 7.8. So it's inconsistent as to what was advertised, because you're stating that they can review the application, so. And I'm only saying this because this is a problem. If somebody contests it and we approve something that wasn't advertised, what was presented?
Right, so as I mentioned, the relief we're seeking is 17.2 on the rear and 22.7 on the side. Are you saying that what was included in the application was advertised, the specific?
If you look at this.
No, I know what you're
Yep,
saying.
No, yeah, just humor me for a minute. I'm not
Yep.
trying to give you a hard time. Your sideline says you want to be 6 feet.
Right.
Your sideline shows 2.3.
Right.
Your rear lot says you're going to be 12 feet. You're 7.8.
I understand that.
So that's what I'm just pointing out, because if we approve it, it's not, we're not approving to what was actually presented originally, so. We've run into this before, that's the only reason I bring it up. It has nothing to do with
You're
trying to target this particular case.
In fact, are you looking for 6 feet or the 2.3?
Well, it's the relief that we need, so it's 2.3 feet away, which means we need 22.7.
Okay,
Right.
so if you.
I understand, it's different, I understand.
Okay.
We applied for a variance, that's what was advertised, that's the relief there was. I don't think the numbers in the application were advertised.
Okay.
I mean, I see it all the time.
Yeah.
You know, people need to amend, people submit additional documents at the hearing, and votes are taken. So I don't think the hearing needs to be continued for that reason.
Yes.
Mike, I got a question. Do you happen to know, or maybe Commissioner would tell, the distance between that last manhole and the pump in correlation to the shed itself, the distance between it?
If I guessed, it looks to be 5 or 6 feet. So if you're referring to Title V, I think that's only going to come into play if there's a foundation or a footing in, like we had on a previous case. But because this is a temporary shed on blocks,
I guess my question would be if you slid it over, because, you know, the only time you would have to get into that tank is to change the pump.
yes, but the tank is 5 foot by 10 foot, so you can only go so close to it, depending on which direction it goes, and I would assume that it's going this way into the lot. You can't use the tank as a supporting
No.
piece for the shed, because the building inspector gets very emotional on it. Does that help you,
Just a
John?
question, yes, it does.
Okay.
Sorry to have emotion, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not comfortable with the 2.3 feet from the lot line, but
Well, the problem that we have is we consistently, one thing that we look at is maintaining your whatever structure from your own property. And it's difficult to do that if you're only 2.3 feet.
right.
But
I take it you're familiar with the lot that's near, right? It's a empty corner
right.
lot.
does he own it? Does he own that?
No,
No.
no, it's Finn, looks
Yeah.
like.
Yeah, no, I just, clarity.
I
so.
did speak to the neighbors, they, no problem, you put the shed there. Mr. Flynn said that.
Yeah, but there's other owners down the road we have to look at. You couldn't paint the shed without being on somebody else's property.
I could paint it.
You could paint it and be with it and stay on your property? In 2 feet?
Yeah.
Respectfully, you can go onto a neighbor's property to perform work. We know that, right? Surveyors can go onto your neighbor's property, contractors can go onto your neighbor's property.
If I tell
Shed
you,
up against the hill now?
if I post it, you can. So,
Is the shed back all the way to the hill now?
Yeah. Just, yeah.
As it's upgraded, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because if you could turn it,
Not by much.
No, if
You're
you,
not gonna lose it.
if you turn it, then you're going to be closer
yeah.
to the,
Well, because you can't go any far forward, right? Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
looking at this picture and the elevation of that, the base of that hill, the toe of the hill, whatever you want to call it, I would think that there would be an ability to move that shed back, even if it was just a hand-laid, small retaining wall, 2 feet high, and get a level surface to gain more compliance to that shed.
Are you talking about moving it back?
Yes.
But still have the 2 feet or something on the side?
Well, if you looked at your plan here, your shed right now is at an angle,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
can push it back even further.
Mr. Chairman, not to be difficult, just to help our minute taker, it's important that we say who we are, so that way, because they're doing it off the tape, so that's all, as we move forward. Mr. Chairman. Ask the building inspector, this notice of violation, what prompted this?
They had a complaint come into the office with regards to being in the right-of-way.
I don't know, it looks to me like you have other options that could get you further away from the sideline and further back from the road. Like John said, even if you had a small retaining wall in the back, you may be able to push it back another
Slide it over.
Push it back.
5, 8 feet,
Side.
10 feet.
If I
So that-
slide it over, I lose a parking spot. Like the way the shed is there,
You know what, we're here for about the building. We're not here about parking spots.
So,
You're asking for relief to place the building. The parking spots have no bearing on this hearing. It's all about locating the shed. So if you lose a parking spot to get closer to complying with the requirement, you know, like everyone who's bought a small lot, when you buy it, you know that you have restrictions that, because of the size of the lot, and something people have to live with.
Seems like we can only go 4 to 5 feet. How many feet away do you think you are from that manhole?
This way?
So at most, it's a few feet away from the manhole cover, which sounds like, based on the earlier discussion, is a problem. So I guess it's a matter of 2 feet versus
Oh, okay.
5 feet or 6 feet. There's still going to be a substantial amount of relief needed.
If you went up into here. What I'm saying. So you could go around.
It's like the end of the truck, so
So you might lose this. Density.
put a wall
You can still park.
Right. But you see, if you use it all.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
push the shed back on. Do you agree?
You still gonna have to here.
Then you can push it back and slide over.
Because it can't be moved.
I would just add, you know, the financial aspect of this as well regarding the applicant's detriment here. I mean, this is beyond the shed, you know, we've got this plot plan now, which was a wise idea, but not without cost. The fees to be obviously here tonight before the board. So I just ask that, you know, an unnecessary burden not be put on the applicant without some obvious reason. And I know there's a couple people here, so maybe we can hear from any abutters, but
may I chime in again?
Sure, go ahead, John.
What my suggestion is taking the shed, sliding it back, building a small wall in the back of it so you can push it that much further, but you still could push it on the other side of your tank.
Yeah.
like you did get a price on that before, I will be honest with you. I got a price of $18,000
What, to dig a hole and put a wall?
to put a retaining wall in, to dig out. and put
You
a
got the
wall.
wrong guy.
Pardon?
Yeah, I get
You
another
got the
price.
wrong guy.
I didn't.
I mean, you spent that kind of money on a shed. Okay.
And that's what I'm saying to you. Like,
Yeah. To me, that would be your best option.
And then
To
if
help
they
us
do
out,
that-
we're here to help you, by the way.
Yeah.
We're not trying to deter you from building or having it there. We're trying to help you. So, just want to make that known.
It's been-
I don't think the wall would, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I don't think that wall would have to be that high. A couple feet.
Couple of feet.
It looks like,
So it doesn't even,
Yeah.
it could
3
be
feet high.
almost like a dry stack. Do you agree? With a footing underneath it? Which is no way near.
Crushed stone and
Which is
unilog
no
block.
way near.
And then
12 inches of crushed stone. Exactly.
Yeah.
Unilock style wall. Yep.
Unilock has
feet
a
high.
wall.
Then you can slide it back behind the tank cover and you can slide it to the left.
Right.
And now you've got parking in front of the shed all the way across there. And you've eliminated, and you probably end up with the side limits on both sides. You can do that.
Maybe not
Close.
both.
Pretty close, though. Lot closer than 2
Well, right, 2 feet is one thing.
Right.
25 is another.
Correct.
The lot is only 50 feet
I
wide.
understand, but you get, yeah, you,
Yeah.
just
Every
look-
case is different, but typically, it's rare that anybody is granted a variance looking for more than half of the required setback. So if the sideline setback is 25, it's relatively common to get one if you're more than 12 and a half feet from the lot line. And if the setback's 25 and you're at half of that,
The other shed I have in the lot there, that's probably 2 feet away.
It's over 10 years old, right?
Yeah, it's probably,
Yeah, yeah, grandfathered in, so
Yeah.
that helps
I
you.
mean, yeah.
I mean, the reason why
So-
you're here is, the reason why you're here is we gotta go, the building inspector got to complain. That's
You mind if
what's
I show him something, Dan?
No, go ahead.
I just want to show you a thought, that's all. What's that?
Oh, no, sorry.
Looking at this, right, so you can see it's a pretty shallow grade right here, back of your truck. If the front of the shed, you put with this, it wouldn't take, like they were suggesting, the dry stack walls.
Like, how
You're
is
not
it?
gonna have to put in this huge retaining
I don't
wall,
think that wall would be more than
depending
Tall
on
tops.
30 inches.
where
high.
your septic system is.
You could probably
You
go back
have to watch
easy
your
10
septic
feet.
system.
well, it's,
You're not
your
gonna
septic
walk
system on top of the hill. It's right on top.
Yeah, so-
I measured this, so if I went back in, say 10 feet, so I'd probably have to go, I'd have to allow a little bit more, so I could, I could get in if I wanted to paint the shed, so it's not gonna rot out. So then it would be probably.
You only need 2 feet.
I knew that was coming.
It was probably, when I,
Yeah.
it was probably 11 feet high. So that's what we taken out. So I was told that if you go over 4 feet, you need it.
No possible way.
I'd suggest
I would
the
bet you
board
that, because if you went back 12 feet and it had to be 11 feet high, that's almost a 45-degree angle. 12 and 12 would be
It goes up fairly,
45.
it's hard to see there, but it goes up fairly steep.
You may want to take a site visit to see the steepness of this.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, and then someone in the audience would like to see.
Yep, well, I'm going to open it up, I'm going to open it up after the members have
Yeah.
their questions answered. We'll certainly ask for your input. Are there any other board members that?
No, not well.
No, if it's allowed, I'd do a site visit. I'll go by and do a site visit.
I did, so.
Is it a 45-degree angle, that hill?
Gosh, no, until it gets really tall in the back. And
Right.
From top to bottom of Northwest Main Street to Cottage Colony.
Yeah,
it's
so you're
quite
not,
steep.
if you went back 10 or 12 feet, you're not going to do an 11-foot cut?
No, you probably end up with a 4-foot, 5-foot wall, maybe. I don't think it's gonna be 2 or 3, from what I remember.
Yep, that's what I'm gonna say.
It's a drive-by thing with that, because it's a,
And the building inspector can correct me. Under 6 feet, you don't have to have it a structural engineer, correct?
Under 4 feet, including footing.
Under 4 feet.
4 feet.
You're shaking your head, no, what?
It's over 4 feet if you go 10 feet back from that shed.
Okay.
So again,
Again, I'll
we
do
talk
it.
about structural walls.
I'm willing to do a site visit.
Yep. And I'll give you time to reconsider what you proposing. We wouldn't have to re-advertise if you went further away from the lot lines than what you proposed. But again, there is that conflict
I
between the
would
application.
be
and-
interested to see what town council said about us reducing what was advertised or applied for.
I don't think there'd be a problem if it's further, but if it's
No, I know that.
closer.
So, I'll explain it to you, maybe we'll get through the conversation. In the application, it says they're gonna provide 6 feet
Right.
on the side, the plan shows 2.3. The rear says it's gonna provide 12 feet, well, I'm assuming it's 12, there's nothing that can be 12 inches, I guess. Says 7.8. So if somebody came in and reviewed this, if they were interested in it, and then we turned around and this came in yesterday, so they didn't have a chance to, well, they could have, I guess, in 24 hours had a chance to review that one document.
and I think what the chairman is saying is if they moved it back 12, 13 feet, more than 6, we wouldn't have to change.
That's how I feel.
The application
more
was
than-
filed on the 13th of July.
I think the applicant knows what we're asking for, so when you guys do a site.
If they're more than the greater of these two, either the plan or the application.
Yep.
I don't think there's a problem. But
Well, the plan is something new that came in, so it would have to be greater than the application, it couldn't be less than that.
Well,
I wouldn't.
we could continue it. I'm happy to go drive by and do a site visit, but I think you got a good feel for what the board's thinking.
It's a tough lot.
It is, but
I get
when you buy something small, you know you have limitations. You know, and 2 feet is just, we've turned down how many people that wanted to be 10 feet away? So 2 feet just
I'm just
doesn't fly
surprised.
for me, but
I'm
that's just-
surprised that we're here with the structure after going through the last hearing, but.
All right, ma'am, did you have
I have
something?
a question for you. Diana Collins, thanks for taking my question. So someone makes a complaint and doesn't live on the road, so it's not impeding them at all. But the 2 neighbors that it does, like one is here and the other one would write something, it doesn't bother them. Like, the person that makes the complaint doesn't even live on the road.
Yeah, well, that's not
That part I
uncommon.
don't understand.
That's not uncommon, unfortunately. We've had people on the other side of town complain about an application, so,
But if you get approval from the neighbors that it affects, doesn't that matter?
but the neighbors may not always be the neighbors. We have to look to the next, down the road.
But
So,
I'm the abutting neighbor,
Now,
and
today,
yes,
right.
and was it before the shed even went in, and I told him it was fine. I had no problems, and he keeps it immaculate. And, you know, it's not impeding anyone. I can drive in and out of my property, no problem.
Yep,
And it's as far back as it can go. With that leach field is really high, and if you start digging into it, there's already runoff and water, and with the road being in the poor condition that it's in, it's been totally neglected, the road as well. So any runoff, it's just going to cause so many more problems, floods, flash flooding. If you start trying, you'd have to get a really, really high retaining wall to make it safe.
okay, appreciate your input. Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on the application? Ma'am?
I just want to make sure that,
You actually just have to identify yourself for the minute
my name
taker.
is Vicky,
Okay,
and I just want to make sure that everything's being followed as far as legally granting the variance, and there's certain findings that have to be looked at, like hardship, and there's 2 other ones.
yeah, topography, right,
Those
Excuse me,
three.
Mr.
and
Chairman.
the shape of the lot.
Can we get a last name and address for the minute
Yeah,
taker, please?
if you could, yeah, we need your full name and address.
It's Vicky Sullivan, and it's my address 455 Northwest Main Street, Douglas, Mass.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, you can,
One.
didn't mean to interrupt you, go ahead.
Nope, so I voiced what I came
Try to
about,
run
is just to
it
make
fair.
sure that the variance is legally granted according to the laws, that's all.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, the attorney has something for you.
A couple things first. I'm not sure if the last speaker identified her name
No,
and
she
address.
Emma McKenzie, 13 Cottage Conley.
okay, thank you.
I missed it. Thanks for catching it.
And the other thing, I just want to, I don't know if I made it clear, but I don't think the abutting lot, the Finn lot, that is a buildable lot. Maybe the building inspector can,
these are all
We know.
pre-existing non-conforming lots in that area.
So it's a part of the
They're not as all
original
the
subdivision.
determination by a zoning appeal, because they're all pre-existing non-conforming lots.
right, but there's no residence or structure on the lot, so it
If it
wouldn't
was
be.
part of an original subdivision and it was never built on, then it would be a pre-existing non-conforming. So as long as they could meet their setbacks, which they'd have to come in for a variance because they couldn't meet it, but they would have the right to apply.
Excuse me, may I speak up?
Yes,
My name's Dan Finn, I'm attending remotely.
oh, okay,
My address is 67 Keithville Road in Grafton, Mass. And for 32 years, I've owned number 2 Cottage Colony as well as number 5 Cottage Colony, which abuts Mr. Collins' property. And just for the record, my wife and I, who own the property, do not have an issue, so to speak. We're concerned about Mr. Collins' shed, even though it is close in proximity. At the same time, we're not aware of the, the bylaws and all of that, but as a neighborhood, we get along, and we know that Mr. Collins is a very friendly neighbor, and that 2.5 feet does not particularly bother us, just for the record, but again, we don't happen to know the parameters of the legality.
Anything else, Mr. Finn?
I'm sorry I wasn't able to attend in person. I had to work until 7 o'clock, and in any event, that's pretty much it. I don't think in the long run that is going to affect our property, which again I've owned for over 30 years with my wife.
Okay. All right, well, thank you for your input.
Yep.
I have one last thing,
Yep, go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, and I don't really relish doing this, but since the only reason that I've heard tonight for concern over this shed is this complaint from who we know is Miss Sullivan now. I'd have a couple letters from former property owners in this neighborhood regarding Miss Sullivan and their
We're not here to attack
treatment
people.
of her. And I think it's relevant because we're concerned apparently about future neighbors and past neighbors and neighborly relations. And I think this gives an eye into, the neighborhood dynamics and should be made part of this public record. So,
I'm not having a problem with that.
Yeah, I am
I'm not here
too.
to throw mud at anybody or as far as
Right,
neighbors.
everybody's entitled to their
So
opinion.
I'm not really sure if we should
Yeah, I don't know if we should even accept it. It's irrelevant.
bring back.
You're here for a zoning issue, not for a neighbor
Throw
issue
somebody
or
under the bus.
anything else. Right.
well, I'm asking that it be submitted, so I don't really know what latitude there is to reject it, but you can do as you will, I suppose.
Mr. Chairman, accept it, send it to town council
All right.
if they want to use it.
We'll put it in the
for something.
file, subject to
So
town council.
Right, give me one of them, one of each. Scott, yeah.
Just for clarity, the reason why I even brought it up, because we had a violation notice with
Oh, they're all
no
And there was a
reason
violation, it
for-
was a legitimate complaint.
Right, so,
Did not meet the
They're all
zoning.
different.
Right,
That's a
but there was a
legitimate complaint. I
violation
don't care if
notice.
they live on the other side of town or where. It's a legitimate complaint.
There's
You
a
didn't
vi-
meet the sideline and the front yard setback, so the rear
I don't know
setback.
if you've seen this at all.
I have.
So it didn't state what the reason was, that's, I would just wanted clarity as to why, if it was something that he drove by, if it's somebody that complained, so that's all it is.
I think it's important to know how it came up. It wasn't something that was done on the building inspector's own volition. It was a quote-unquote neighborhood complaint from a neighbor that lives over a mile away. So that should be known, and that's, I think, relevant, as Ms. McKenzie stated.
We'll talk to the town council, but I don't think it's relevant, but that's, whatever. We'll put it in the file, we'll talk to town council. So do you want to continue this?
I do have a piece of property in Cottage Colony also, so,
Okay.
and I've been there a lot longer than all these people.
You don't live in the road.
They have violated.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Ms. Sullivan?
Mike, relax. Okay,
So
finish.
they have violations
Yep.
pertaining to my property also.
Yep.
So, which is irrelevant to this.
You know, we're only focused on
We don't-
the shed on this
That's what I'm
property.
here for, to find out whether the town follows the rules of a variance of a 50-foot lot. And that's stated, that's all I have right here. That's the biggest issue.
Okay. All right?
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
one of these women wanted to speak, I think.
It's basically in
No,
your
just that
hands to make.
a lot of what she's saying is untrue about violations from other
Okay, you know what?
neighbors. So-
We're going to focus
We're not
on this
talking
lot
about
and
any-
this
We're
shed.
talking about the.
Ma'am, ma'am,
You looked at me
you
and
can
pointed to
take
me.
that outside, all of you.
Right, I know, that's what
Okay?
I'm saying.
So the only thing we're focused on is this shed on this lot.
Exactly, that's what we're focused on.
So,
And just to be clear, one of those letters is from the former owner of Mr. Collins's parcels.
so do you want us to move forward with a decision tonight, or do you want to rethink it and we can do a drive-by?
I don't know what to do on that, you know?
I would leave it up to the board members if they honestly think that a site visit would be useful to you. I'd ask that you take it, because I do think some of the presumptions regarding the steep of the parcel and the dimensions are maybe a little off. If not, and it's just, it's not being done to appease Mr. Collins or I. If you think it'd be useful, then certainly. I mean, I'm on the chairman, I'm on the board of a zoning board. I've been on 2 different towns' boards, and something we, not often, but
Yeah, well, we've
Have done.
done site visits on occasion.
sure.
So do you want to continue this public hearing till next month, and then that'll give us time to do a site visit, and it'll give you time to rethink your application. And we also need to correct things, whether it's 6 feet, or 2.3, or 12 feet, or 8.7. Those things have to be
All right.
the same.
Yeah, I can, if you want me to send an email to Ms.
And
Couture
honestly,
with
I mean,
the,
this is one of the reasons that we want the certified plot plans
Right.
stamped, because the application and the plot plan don't match. And they're off significantly, so.
I understand. I don't think the dimensions were published. I don't think that, like I said, I mean, additional documents get submitted all the time at these hearings, and it's not a reason to
Well, is-
delay things, but
You wanna-
I can communicate the specific dimensions that I mentioned tonight to Ms. Couture, so everyone's on the same page for next month, and if there's anything else that you'd like in that regard.
need there's a form to request a continuance.
Sure.
And what
Mr.
that-
Chairman, I would like town council's input to make sure that we can hear that, where the dimensions have changed significantly. And if you could attend next month's meeting, it would be helpful for all of us.
So the applicant is looking for continuance to our September 7th meeting. So,
Make a motion to accept the continuance request for ZBA number 2022-06. It looks like 062.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Palmer, to grant a continuance until our September 7th meeting at 7 PM.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
make a request to the applicant to be able to go onto the property. Is that an issue? If I go by there, can I go on the property?
Yeah,
Yeah. If you watched a bunch of our meetings, you'd understand all these questions that I ask, why I'm asking them, so. There's been issues in the past, so it's easy to ask up front.
Okay. I'm sorry, somebody make that motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I made the motion,
made
he
that
seconded it, now you just have to take the vote.
All right. All in favor of granting continuance to September 7th at 7 PM? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye, Dan Heaney.
Bambara, aye.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
See you on the 7th at 7 PM.
I checked continuance of the hearing, the 9/7, and signed.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you. All right. All right. Thank you. See you next month. Okay, next agenda item is, why don't we do the daily construction report from North Brown? Okay?
I'll be right.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, I know, I wish I had a story like that.
We'll go over that report as soon as John comes back. It's not about attacking people.
I was curious as to which towns he was on boards.
Oxford and Charlton.
He's on the zoning board in both towns?
No, he's been on both. I don't know if he's on any currently.
Yeah. Still awake, Uncle Ron?
Why do you say that?
So you can buy me an ice cream. It works with Hal.
But the water is low, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter and her husband found out on Wallen Lake over the weekend.
Yeah, they hit bottom,
Oh, yeah.
just a prop one.
Yeah. Took out all 3 blades. Yeah, because the water's low. Wallen Lake, you can't go on the left, leaving the ramp. You gotta stay off the left-hand side, 75, 80 feet, minimum.
Sorry.
Now that the water's
No
down,
problem.
you gotta be out even further.
Okay, so why don't we, if everybody's had a chance to review the construction report from the engineer.
I'm sorry.
I agree.
Ken, do you know if, in his report, he said that he was told by the contractor they were going to do the sidewalk July 11th, and as of the date of his report, which is July 19th. they had-
So sidewalks are not installed, they were in there with the Bobcat digging to get site prep for the sidewalks
Okay,
up through the balance of phase 2.
all right.
There has not been a lot of activity on the site.
Okay,
No?
No. It's been a very quiet site. They have their last foundation they put in, they backfilled that. They have two properties that aren't even sided. One of the affordables that we had discussions about hasn't had anything really done to it.
Is that 63?
63. I went by to take a look.
I took a ride by there, all I could see was wiring. I didn't,
Right.
obviously not gonna stop, but I
I've
didn't
asked
see
the
any
question
plumbing.
each time I see them on a inspection. What's the status? I keep getting the plumbers coming in. Getting a little concerned with the fact of how quiet the site is. there's a lot of miscellaneous items that have been carried and carried and carried, and it says contractor will do on final, do on final, do on final. He's all but moved out of phase 1 and 2 at this point. He's into the phase 3, so, I mean, it's the final of the development, at which point, I don't know how much road work will even be left. Keeps breaking off, sidewalks are failing, you know, sediments and such. I would make a recommendation to the board, you have them come in and try and set some timelines on what they're really going to do over there. I'm not seeing a lot of activity.
I'll take a ride at tomorrow.
Maybe we should invite them to our next meeting and invite town council. It didn't work out last time, but the last meeting wasn't as productive as we had hoped. But it is getting concerning. They're approaching probably 60, somewhere around 60% done in terms of building the units, but there's really nothing that's been done since the base code, or very little.
I mean, they've redone some of the rain garden bottoms. I did ask the question because driving through there, some have mulch, some don't. They said it based on the size of the rain garden, whether it was a mulch base or a vegetated base. They've redone some of the grass areas and brought them back up. But as you can see in the reports, there's still things like the Cistern Road that's still an ongoing problem. I haven't seen anything happening up in the grading and finishing on the end of the phase 2 or on what I'll call the end of phase 3, what would be the end of phase 3, the far end of it. They've got piles of materials still sitting, which they're using that as guidance, saying, well, until we can stabilize that hill, we can't really finish off the retention area or drainage area, which is going to the other side of phase 2 to the final drainage area on the edge of the property. So you're just getting this perpetual snowball that it's like, well, we can't do that because of this, but nothing's being done up there to make that an accomplishment.
Well, should we invite them in next month's meeting and
Yeah, I would
ask
like
town
to-
council to show up in person?
I would like a copy of the contract we signed in regards to what we were talking about. Yes.
There's supposed to be a bond placed according to the agreement prior to starting phase 4.
Right.
I don't know if there's anything that could, should, or would be done to perhaps move that bonding up if it's going to be a slow-down project like it is, to at least get some completion. I mean, there's issues with the access way in, the main access way in,
Right.
with the wrap in the middle and everything, and the stones all over the road. There's guardrails that are got to be repaired. There's light posts that are broken off. So you've got all this stuff coming up through. You get into the development. You go phase 1 to 2. The basic roadway, basic sidewalks are there, but nothing's complete. And with the progress on phase 3 up there, I just don't know what their standing is with the development.
Well, I think we should invite them to our next meeting, and it's a month away. We could insist on council being here,
That's a must.
and our council.
Yeah.
Try to get some answers, try to, hate to say it, but force the progress. There's 60 people living in there in an unfinished situation.
Right. I don't even know what the status is of their whole condominium association, documentation, implementation. You know, is there funds being put into an account for that? Is it paying for anything inside there that it's supposed to be or not supposed to be? It is being paid out of that. You know, that would be all something I would think for our town council to review ahead of the next meeting they come in, so we can perhaps have some answers on that.
The engineer's report also said that the contractor should prepare a detailed as-built drawing of phase 2 to confirm the grades and other site features were built as designed,
Right.
so.
But at this point, he really
I wonder what
can't-
prompted him to put that comment in there. He must have concerns about the grading.
Probably has concerns with the grading on the backside of that Phase 2 development, the left side going up. You know, there's some drop-off areas that I've already spoken with the contractor with regards to fall protection in some of these backyards into those retention areas. Being a chain link fence or something to keep it so that people are safe.
And there are 60 people up there, living up there.
Drops out that quick.
There's 60 people living up there
For
now.
one, it's, 10
So-
feet down.
In the
but,
whole
you know,
project?
little
There's
rumble that
60
goes out
living
the back door,
there.
there's gonna be an injury.
So that's 60 units. So some of these people have been, it's been years and years that they've,
I have some of the people up in that development that call me on a regular basis, and I've been keeping them up to date on our meetings and the progress, so that they're not left out in the dark as far as what's going on up there.
all right, so if we could send something out to them, asking them to come to our next meeting and also to town council, and would like them to come in person.
I could probably get a hold of our engineering firm that's doing this review and see if we can't get a review closer to the next meeting instead of
Okay.
just whatever the 1 month schedule might be.
Right.
See if we can get a review closer to it.
The 19th,
19, yeah,
Right.
so we're talking first.
it's only 12 days old, thereabouts. All right, well, hopefully we can get that moving along for the neighbors, and
We asked Ken to check on, to see if there was any official change to the entrance road, their 6-inch minus that they have in the middle. That
After
was
the last-
originally supposed to be.
after the last meeting, I actually called our former town engineer,
Yeah.
and he said that he did not agree to any changes other than what's on the plan, which is not 6-inch riprap. So,
And I did bring that up to the contractors with regards to, there was no approved changes. And I want to know what you're going to be doing with this, because you can't leave this like this.
right.
So they said, we'll address it. I get that a lot, we'll address it.
Well, the last page of this is all their responses. They go back to,
Take a long way back to 2019.
no, yeah, 19, I think.
Yeah.
Said everything is.
No, 17, I'm sorry.
That's what brings me to say, we'll repair on top coat, we'll repair on top coat. Top coat's not until completion of Phase 4.
Yeah, I mean, some of these go back 5 years.
I mean, I don't see why they couldn't maintain a completeness to, even if it wasn't the access road in, but Phase 1, Phase 2, and keep construction equipment off of it. They have a construction equipment entrance, plus they have Phase 3 roadway that goes in there. I don't see why they couldn't keep any equipment off the road, do a completion there for those 2 phases.
Right. Yep.
I know it's not what was originally written up, but I'm just
Yeah.
expressing my opinion, I guess.
Yep.
Professional.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that, with 50% of the units sold, I guess that means they have to fund the completion of everything else with the remaining 60 units, which is a big burden.
Yeah, I mean, that completion is all the way from initial grubbing,
Correct.
plus the amount of materials that they have stored on site from the previous Phase 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
being stump grindage and stone storage and gravel, loam, and
Yeah. don't we address our concerns with them at the next meeting with council here, and hopefully we can make some headway for everybody's benefit. Okay. The next agenda item was we had minutes from June 1st. I don't know if everybody had an opportunity to review them.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read June 22nd, but the June 1st one. I move to approve the Wednesday, June 1st, 22 meeting minutes as written.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Bombara, second by Mr. Palmer, to approve the June 1st, 2022 minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Aye, Dan Heaney.
Aye, John Bombara.
Hi, Ron Forget.
Fitzpatrick, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved as written.
I'd like to read the other ones, kind of lengthy.
All right, want to do them next month?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yep.
I don't know if anybody's out there, I'm just looking at it.
Okay, so before, if we can just review them, we won't vote on them. And if you look down through this, it keeps referring to John, but it's not that John, because it says, John explained that when they went to the board for approval on increasing the affordable price, they were on hold and they did work on some market units while they were waited for approval on the affordable increases.
Yeah.
That's, you didn't want to say that.
No,
No, I
there's a
think-
lot of that in here.
There is.
Which is.
I think
which is-
Ed, I think it should say Ed, but
Yeah. What's his brother's name?
We had Tim Barlow, Ed, and
they're the ones that basically did all the speaking that meeting.
Neil
Neil.
Rabick.
Yeah, Neil didn't say much.
Yeah, because I didn't say that. I saw that too. I was going to bring that up.
Well, there's a bunch of Johns in here, and then
Yeah,
I'm like,
there is.
I saw him like, who the hell?
As soon as I saw him, I was like, I didn't say that.
All right, nope. We'll do them on the 22nd.
Sure.
Could you ask Jen to have Stephanie just review this again to see if it's Ed
Sure.
on those names?
Yep.
Actually, it is. I think it is that because I just looked at.
No, I know, just looking at it, just,
Phase and sales was signed stated on the date of June 30.
The
right.
minutes maker now,
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Stephanie, yes.
Stephanie. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so all the Johns are Eds.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Good thing that John didn't speak, because we'd be all messed up.
So our next meeting is September 7th at 7 PM. I don't think we have any other agenda items.
Make a motion to adjourn at 6:34. I mean, 8:34.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Fitzpatrick, seconded by Mr. Bombara to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 8:34.